Okay, so I think we're ready to get going. So welcome everybody to tonight's webinar. As you can see there, this webinar tonight we're covering is called Goals and Attitude. And I'm recording this webinar. I record all of the webinars, and you can see that this is the 7th out of 8. Well, I do a series of 8 called the Kleeneze Circle of Success. They're all recorded. So although tonight we're talking specifically about goals and attitude, you might find that there are some other ones in there that are particularly useful for you at this time in your business, because obviously people are starting at different times. There will be some people, Myrna and Peter, Leslie and Wendy, hi guys, who've been in the business a little while, or hi Mr. Trowell, and other people who are just starting. Literally Sally, I know, has only just started a couple of days ago. So for those of you who are just started, the webinars kind of number 1, 2, 3 are all about the retail side, the catalogues, Facebook and so on. Then if you're interested in doing team building, numbers 4 and 5 cover a bit of team building and supporting team members. And then 6, 7 and 8, the ones that we're doing at the moment, are really all about kind of the personal development side of the business, how important your own attitude is to your success in Kleeneze. And they're all recorded, as I said, and at the end of this webinar, in hopefully about half an hour, I'll show you where all of the recordings are. So if you do want to watch any of the other ones, then feel free to go and get those anytime. So tonight, goals and attitude. What we're going to cover is a bit about whether or not you think attitude is important, and if you agree that it is, then how to do a bit of work on your attitude. If you sort of struggle sometimes with motivation, you can't struggle to feel like you really want to get up and get going even though you know you should do, how can we work on that? And then a bit about goals, why goals are important, and how to set and achieve goals. And goals and attitude are brought together because actually they do have a big effect on each other. So hopefully it will all make sense when we get to the end in half an hour. So, quick question, is your attitude important? In the words of Jim Rohn, of course. The reason it's important is, if you think about it, every distributor who's ever joined Kleeneze has exactly the same opportunity. We all have the same catalogues. We all have the same products in those catalogues. There's not different products for people in Kent compared to people in Bradford. It's all exactly the same. The costs are all exactly the same. We all get paid exactly the same. You don't get paid more for getting your orders out in Wales than you do if you live in Lincolnshire. So we're all getting the same opportunity, but some people are more successful than others. And why is that? And by far the biggest influence on their success is their attitude. Just as a bit of an example, how do you feel when you get up some mornings? If you're the sort of person that wakes up and thinks, I'm going to get those catalogues out whatever it takes, I don't care, it's raining, put my raincoat on, get the brolly, out we go. Or if you're the sort of person that thinks, I'm not sure, I feel a bit kind of under the weather, I probably won't feel very well later on, perhaps I'll do the catalogues tomorrow, then the challenge that you've got is there will always be some reason why you might not be able to get those catalogues out. And successful people do what they know they should do, even when they don't feel like doing it. So, does it really make a big difference? Well, having a great attitude helps you to put your catalogues out, even if you're feeling a little bit under the weather. It encourages you to chat and smile with your customers as you're walking around delivering your catalogues or delivering your orders. Even if you're a bit under the weather yourself, you know that you've got a great attitude, you're positive, you're thinking, right, I'm going to get through this. So you're chatting and smiling with your customers. Being reliable and cheerful with your customers helps you to build that rapport that's so important. At the beginning, it's all the legwork of getting your catalogues out, but as you start to meet your customers, having that great relationship with them builds up that kind of regular repeat ordering that you see from your loyal customers. So as a result of that, you get this strong and loyal customer base. And that strong and loyal customer base provides you with a good steady income from your personal retail. And that's what you want. When you're putting your catalogues out, you're putting your Facebook adverts out there, even if you're kind of feeling, I'm not sure, I'm not feel like doing it, I didn't get a lot of orders yesterday, or you might be feeling a bit down, or you've had some bad, a couple of bad responses or something. It's easy to get down, but having a good attitude gets you through that. And if you're interested in team building and you're starting to do a bit of team building, your attitude's really important in that as well, because it helps you to do your lead generating adverts, your leaflets, your posters and so on. Even if you're feeling a bit down or a bit low, it encourages you to make those follow-up calls. Even if you're feeling a bit nervous, you'll sort of say, well, oh God, what if they say this, what if they say that? But actually, if you've got the get up and go and the can-do attitude, then you'll just make the calls anyway. It doesn't really matter what they say. What's important is you make the calls. And all of those activities, making the calls, generating those leaflets, will bring in that extra team member compared to if you don't do those activities. And an extra team member every month will grow your team, and the bigger the team, the bigger your residual income. So just to summarize all of that, it's really easy to see if you've got a great attitude, then that can gradually increase your weekly orders from your own retail, from your own customers, from, it could be anything from kind of £250 to £500 a week if you're getting a lot of orders, all because you've got those catalogues out, you did those adverts even when you couldn't, even when you weren't feeling great. You can increase your team building and your team's orders, and that could take you from, say, I don't know, £2,000 to £4,000 a week in your team. And these can all increase your income from £50 a week to £500 a week or something like that. Your attitude really does make a big difference, because it's those little decisions that you make every morning, every afternoon, every evening, over a period of time, they mount up and make a big difference. So, if you agree that having a positive attitude helps, how do you get it? Well, if you like me, when I first wanted to get a good attitude, I popped down Sainsbury's, went to customer services, £1.50 of positive attitude, please, and they sent me packing. So I don't know. So no, unfortunately, you can't just nip down the supermarket to buy a load of good attitude. But there are ways that you can improve your attitude and can gain a positive attitude. And one of the ways is your life philosophies. Now, I'm going to expand on this a lot more in one of the later webinars that I do next week, in fact. And if you can't wait till then, as I said at the end, the recordings are all on there, so you can watch webinar 8 from last time if you want. But just to give you a rough idea, the sorts of things that are involved in your life philosophies are things like, who do you blame when things go wrong? If you're the sort of person that looks to find other people to blame, so if you're not getting a pay rise at work, you're kind of blaming your boss because he's stingy, or you're blaming the company because they've got, it's impossible to get a promotion. And the trouble is, if you start to blame things, you blame the weather when you can't get your catalogues out, you can never do anything about it, because there'll always be some bad weather. There will always be a company that can't do a promotion yet. There will always be a boss who's a bit stingy. So you're stuck. So you have to turn that around and take responsibility for the actions. You've got to say, well, I can get the catalogues out even if it's raining. It's not the end of the world. If I can't get a promotion at work, I can go on some training courses, learn some extra skills, and find a better job. If you take the responsibility for it, then suddenly you're in control then. You're not waiting for other people to turn things around. And what I was saying at the beginning about making a few good decisions, that's all about your life philosophies. Little things like deciding to put your catalogues out when you don't feel like it, or deciding to do your Facebook adverts or whatever. Making those little decisions every day, even if you're not sure you feel like it, is a great kind of attitude, a great life philosophy. And if you get into the habit of doing that, that habit improves your attitude. And then the other thing, and this is what I'm going to expand on a little bit now, is success. If you're achieving things, if you're feeling successful, then that just gives you a positive attitude. It's kind of like a virtuous circle, not a catch-22, kind of the opposite of a catch-22. If you're successful, you have a great attitude. And if you have a great attitude, you become successful. So, how can we start that off? Let's see what we can do to achieve some goals, which is, if you like, one definition of being successful. If you achieve some goals, you are successful. You've achieved, you're successfully achieved some goals. So, and this is what I was trying to say there. Constantly setting and achieving goals is a guaranteed route to success. So, if you just read that again, constantly setting and achieving goals. So what I mean by that is, don't set a goal which is, in 10 years' time I want to be able to buy a Ferrari. That might be a fantastic goal, but if that's the only goal you've got, and it's going to take you 10 years before you see whether you've succeeded or not, it's quite a long way to before you can kind of get that success. So you need to set lots and lots of goals and achieve them as you go along. So I'm just going to go through a little approach to setting and achieving goals. And it's just a little step-by-step thing, 3 little steps, easy peasy. So the first thing I'm going to expand on, and I'm going to go through these in a little bit more detail, is what goals are important to you. It's no good setting a goal for, I want a Ferrari in 10 years, if actually you don't like driving and sports cars not important to you, and actually you've got 6 children and it'd be pointless having a Ferrari anyway. So, setting the goals that are important to you is an important first step. Then number 2 is, once you've kind of decided what kind of goals are important to you, how do you choose them? How do you set those first goals? And then the third step, and this is kind of one of the important things, is how do you then achieve them? And the last point there, you need to be prepared for a roller coaster. There's a great picture. I should have put it on one of the slides here, but hopefully you'll have to bear with me while I try and describe it to you. Some people think success is a straight line. So if you think kind of where you are now as just being a straight line from I'm here, my goal is up there at the top somewhere, and it's a straight line to get there. In fact, it's never a straight line. You will always be on a bit of a roller coaster, on good days and bad days. We were saying to Sian earlier, as to how her week was, she said ups and downs, and actually that's probably the same for everybody. We all have ups and downs in our week, in our month, in our life, and that's our roller coaster of life. So let's just step back a moment. What is your why? When you're thinking about the kinds of goals that are really important to you, when you're deciding what to set as your first goals, you need a strong why. You need a strong reason, and the reason that is important is because typically this is what happens. First off, you set a goal. So you pick some goal, whatever it's going to be. I want to earn £100. I want to be able to take the family for a slap-up meal and a movie, because it's Jimmy's birthday in a couple of weeks. So you set some goal. You create a plan. I know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to put my catalogues out. I'm going to put them out twice a week. I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to deliver the orders. I'm going to spend 2 hours every morning doing my Facebook pages, Facebook group, and all my posts, advertising and so on. So you have this fantastic plan. And you take the first steps. You pack all your catalogues together. You're just about to step out the front door, and some obstacle appears. Now, what might that be? That could be Sally's case, she's hurt her back. Or it could be that it's starting to rain. Or it could be you've forgotten your password in Facebook. Oh, crikey, I got it. So, hey ho, an obstacle appears. You've got a couple of choices there. If you don't have any obstacles in your path, then probably it's not ambitious enough. If your goal is so simple that nothing gets in the way of it, then you probably need to be setting things a bit more ambitious. But if you've got a strong reason why, then you'll work out a way around your obstacles. You'll work out, okay, the weather's absolutely pouring. You know what? I can put a raincoat on. Or Sally's case, Sally's hurt her back. Maybe Sally might think about learning and doing some Facebook advertising, for example. Or put it the other way around. You've been banned from Facebook for a week because of some glitch. Let's just take this opportunity to get these catalogues out. There are ways around these obstacles, and it's important to understand that obstacles will appear. And having a strong reason why will motivate you to overcome those obstacles. Now, I always think it's a really good idea when you're thinking about what your why is, what your reasons are for doing Kleeneze, for example. It's really important, I think, to have emotional reasons. If your reason why is, I want to earn £100, and you don't really want £100 for anything in particular, you just sort of think, oh yeah, it'd just be nice to have a bit more money, then when things get in the way, you sort of think, oh well, never mind, maybe I'll have £100 next week or the week after. But if it's an emotional thing, and it's a family, and let's say it's a birthday coming up, and last year you were really struggling for money and you didn't have much of a birthday, but this month you want to have a fantastic birthday, you're all going to go out to the theme park, have fantastic ice creams and cakes and all sorts, and you're really, really looking forward to it, then that reason why will motivate you to overcome the obstacles. Let me just give you a little example. If I put a plank on the ground and said, here's 20 quid if you can walk along that plank without falling off, you'd probably say, no problem at all. Get on the plank, stick your hands out a bit for a bit of balance, bump, 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 walk along the plank, easy peasy, easiest 20 quid you've ever earned. If I then took that plank to the top of a skyscraper, 50 stories high, and put it between this building and the building next door, so it was the same plank, same length, same width and everything, just happened to be 50 stories up, and said, there you go, there's 20 quid, can you walk across there again? You'd probably say, I don't think so, crikey. No way I would walk across that plank just for 20 quid, you've got to be kidding. But if your daughter or son was in the other building and it was in flames and there was no way that they could get down and the flames were getting higher and higher and higher, and the only way you could rescue them would be if you went across that plank, picked them up and carried them back, then you'd go across the plank, no problem at all. You wouldn't be worried about the money. You might kind of go down on your hands and knees and fasten yourself on with a bit of rope and kind of go carefully across it and then grab them and tell them to hang on around your neck while you come back. Don't look down, wherever you do, look straight ahead. You would overcome those obstacles. You'd work a way around it because your reason was much stronger. You weren't interested in 20 quid. That's not a big enough reason why. But when it becomes emotional and it involves your family, then suddenly the obstacles they're nothing. They're just something that needs to be overcome. So if you've got a strong reason why, then what you'll find is that helps to keep your eyes on the goal and not get distracted by the obstacles. So what's next? What do we do next then? So having sat down and worked out what your reasons are, why you're in this business and why you're wanting to achieve what you want to achieve, the next step is how to set those first goals. So I always start off by asking a question, and it could be something simple, and it's worth just sitting down with a cup of tea for half an hour and going through this. This is a really important exercise. You should say to yourself, what would I change in my life? And it's quite a simple question, but if you think about what makes you happy, what stresses you out, what do you enjoy doing, what do you hate doing, it probably wouldn't take you long to come up with a few things that you would like to change in your life. And then once you've done that, that starts to make you think about some goals. What would you like to achieve to make those changes? And some of those changes are fairly short-term goals, and it's really good and really important to have short-term goals, medium-term goals and longer-term goals. As I said at the beginning, if your only goal is to have a Ferrari in 10 years, then you might be heading towards it and you might really want to get that Ferrari, but if you're not going to have any success in terms of achieving goals for your first 10 years, that's a long way to keep going towards one single goal. So having shorter goals is really a great way of building towards the bigger, more exciting goals. So, set yourself a goal, something that you can achieve in your first couple of months. 1 to 3 months is a good idea for a short-term goal. And it could just be something like maybe you want to save up for a new laptop because you're sick of the old one and it always runs so slow. Or maybe you want to just treat the kids to a day out at Alton Towers. You've got a birthday coming up. You just want to take the whole family there, slap up meal, go on all the rides, have a really great time there, whatever it might be. So that can be one set of goals. Then medium-term goals. I think a good term for medium term is something that you might want to do in the next 6 to 12 months. Now, the beauty of having short-term and medium-term goals is when you've achieved the first short-term goal, you can set another one and another one and another one and keep doing that while you're working towards your medium-term goals. So a medium-term goal might be, for example, maybe you want to pay off some credit card debt, or maybe in a year's time you want to save up and take the family to holiday in Spain, for example. So maybe those are going to take a bit longer to work towards. So that would be, as I said there, a medium-term goal. And then also it's really important to have some really exciting longer-term goals. So obviously it depends on your own situation and what's important to you, but maybe you're sick of living with the parents or the in-laws, or you've been living in that kind of rented flat for such a long time, you'd love to have your own house. So maybe you're looking to save a deposit on a new house, or maybe it's a new car for you, maybe it's that Mercedes, whatever. So having thought about different goals, short, medium and long-term goals, that's a great activity, and it kind of gets the juices flowing and it gets you excited and starts to think about what you can achieve, what you can change in your life if you set these goals and you achieve them. Aha, I knew there was a catch there somewhere. It's not just the setting the goals, is it? You've actually got to achieve them. How do we achieve our goals? Excuse me, my voice is going a bit gravelly there. So, whatever your goal is, whether it's that laptop or the holiday or the new car, how do you achieve it? Well, it's not incredibly complicated, but I'll just take you through the steps. So the goal that you're aiming for is some kind of change in your life. And that change in your life can be implemented, it's not quite the right word, but you know what I mean, by achieving some results. So, by getting orders from your customers, by hitting the next bonus level, 10%, 13%, getting yourself to gold, starting to build up a residual income, having a team member, those results will help you to buy that laptop, pay for that holiday, pay off the credit card. So the results are the important bit here. So that sounds good. Okay, what about how do we get some results? The results that you achieve are brought about by you taking some actions. Now this is where it gets really important, because the actions are the things that you can control. Results, in a way, you can't control. You can't decide whether a particular house gives you an order or not. You can't determine whether you get enough to get a bonus. You can't determine whether you're going to get a team member to come in and join. But what you can do is take all of the actions that will result in those results. Doesn't make sense, but you see what I mean. So, is a little table just to kind of give you an idea of what kinds of actions might you need to do to achieve the results to bring about that change in your lifestyle. So if the result that you wanted was, for example, a new laptop, maybe what you need to do is put out your 200 catalogues twice a week. You start off with 250 catalogues in your pack. If you can get them out twice a week, or 200 of them out twice a week, then you're going to get orders. Everybody will. You'll have days when you get some more orders, days when you don't get so many orders, but putting them out persistently, consistently, twice a week, you will get orders. You will build customers. If you like to start building a bit of that income from your from team members, then the actions that you might need to take would be maybe delivering your leaflets, or placing your Facebook adverts, or whatever the lead generation activity you're doing with your sponsor. You maybe need to do that twice a week. And that's interesting, because suddenly you're going from the new laptop, which is going to help you, whatever it is that's going to, that improvement in your life, you can achieve that result by taking some actions. And the actions are the things that you're responsible for. You can choose with your good attitude whether or not to put those catalogues out, whether or not to go out and deliver those leaflets. They're your choice. Nobody can stop you doing those other than you. And you can repeat that for medium-term and longer-term goals. So if you're saving up for a family holiday, maybe what you need to do is continue blanketing, building up your customer base until you've got 500 customers. Because you know that with 500 customers you'll be earning whatever it is, so £200 a week from your customer base, just delivering catalogues, even if you don't do anything else. Or maybe if you're wanting to do the team building, you know that you have to talk to 10 people a day about the business. So this could be 3-foot ruling, or these could be follow-up calls, maybe as a result of the leafleting and the advertising you've been doing. So it's up to you whether you make those phone calls to talk to those people. It's up to you whether you keep blanketing your catalogues to build up that customer base. So suddenly that family holiday, the results that you've been looking for the last year, are within your control, because you can decide whether to take those actions or not. And again, in the longer term with your new Mercedes, maybe you need to build a team for this. It might be tricky to earn yourself a new Mercedes just doing a bit of Facebook advertising and catalogue delivery on your own. But if you build a team, maybe your actions are you need to work out how can I generate 30 leads a week. So maybe not just doing the leaflets, but joining an ad pool, increasing your 3-foot ruling, all sorts of different ways of generating leads. And maybe you need to look at supporting your team, so encouraging your team to go to your local opportunity meeting, to join our local webinars, join our weekly webinars, or running your own webinar for your team. All of those things will support your team and build your residual income, which might then lead to the new car. So the whole point of this table, I'm hoping that you'll understand, is that the results are what you're aiming for, but the way that you get them is by taking some actions. And you start off with small actions, just putting your catalogues out. The first catalogue, the first time you go out the front door, take one step, one catalogue through, you've done it. That is an action. You've taken that first step. You can then do that again and again and again. You keep doing that, deliver your 200 catalogues, repeat that later on in the week, and so on. So little actions lead to big results. And what you'll find is every week you get a little success. If your target for a particular week was to put out 200 catalogues twice a week, and you do it, then that's great. You hit that first target, and what you'll see is you start to get those results that you're looking for, which makes you more motivated. And then every couple of months, you get a bigger success. You get a couple of team members join, and they start to do something, and they start to put orders through. And that makes you even more motivated. And then once a year you have some fantastic long-term goal. You qualify for a trip to Jamaica or India. You qualify for a new car. You move up a level, you get to gold, or you get a team member gets to gold. And this is where you start to get serious motivation. And that just really drives you through all those obstacles, those ups and downs, because you're getting motivated all the time. And all of those things are constantly improving your attitude. And that's what I talked about right at the beginning. If you can remember, I said you can't pop into Tesco's and buy half a pound of good attitude, but by building your little plan based on actions that you can take every day, every week, you'll be improving your attitude anyway by achieving these little successes. But the thing is, you need to determine what your little goals are so that you can reward yourself, so that you're achieving successes. If your only success is to look back 10 years later and say, yes, I did manage to put out my 25,000 catalogues that I wanted to do in the last 10 years, that's a long way to wait before you kind of improve your attitude. So it needs to be little and often. And as I said, be prepared for a roller coaster ride. That sounded kind of fairly straightforward the way I was going through that. Put your 200 catalogues out, put your leaflets out, but we all know that there's going to be good days and bad days. And you need to be prepared for that, because a wiser man than me, once said, any path without obstacles is probably not leading anywhere worthwhile. And what you'll expect to see, what would typically happen is when you first join, or you're at the beginning, you're going through what's called an excitement phase. You think, this is fantastic, I've learned so much, I'm really excited, I know what I'm going to do, and you'll do whatever it takes to become successful. And then you start to question it a little bit. You get a bit frustrated at a poor pickup, or you lost some catalogue, or some negative people start saying, oh yeah, my brother-in-law in Northern Ireland tried that once 10 years ago and it didn't really work for him, so it doesn't work for anybody, I wouldn't bother with it. So you start to doubt it, and you get a little bit of self-doubt. And then you can kind of drop into what's called the pit. And this is quite normal. It can happen to everyone, and everyone who joins. It might take a couple of days, a couple of months, might be years. And what happens is you start to feel a bit negative. You stay away from meetings. You find reasons, find excuses. You find faults with the products, with the company, with your sponsor, with the weather, with the traffic wardens, with anything that you can think of. But if you've got this good attitude and you've started to build in this program of little and regular successes, that leads you to fight through this fight stage, which is, I'm not going to give up. I know that success is just around the corner. I've had successes in the past. I will have successes again. And you start to focus on your goals again, not focusing on the obstacles. So you go back to attending events, going to the meetings, joining the webinars, communicating with your team and with your sponsor, and that all helps to build up your optimism, your attitude, and so on. So that's basically what I was going to cover this evening. I'll make that about 8:30. Quick question for everybody then. What are your goals? So I've got a quick question. Who has got any goals for the next few months that they'd like to share with us? Oh, Shan and Stu would like to go on a holiday. Sounds good. Oh, freezer for Katrina and Ian. That'll be for the pizza Ian's just been getting. Sounds a good idea. Get that freezer. So good. I mean, I'm pleased there. Hopefully, everybody will have their own idea of what they're aiming for. And just be careful. It's very easy to drift into kind of doing everything that you know you should be doing, but without kind of setting yourself goals and without being able to reward yourself. And those little rewards are really important. Medium-term goals, longer-term goals. Has anybody got anything kind of beyond the next kind of few months that they're really interested in doing? Yeah, Mary there would like to move to a house. That would be brilliant. India, fantastic day. That would be such a great conference. All the international conferences are fantastic. So going on those are a really kind of great way to motivate yourself every year. Yep, David, like to get off benefits. That's fantastic. Oh, look, we're getting into politics now as well. Gold distributors. November destination, Mary. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Don't know where that's going to be. Maybe Prague or Barcelona or somewhere exciting like that. Good, good. So I'm glad people are starting to think a little bit about goals. I would recommend that you just take a little bit of time out, just half an hour or so, once every couple of weeks, and just think about what are you actually aiming for, and have you broken that down into what do you need to do to achieve that. As I said there, are you taking the actions that will lead to that result? Okay, so that was the end of webinar number 7, Goals and Attitude. Next week we're going to expand on that a little bit. I'm talking about personal development. And I said at the beginning that these were all being recorded, so I'm just going to stop the recording of this one.